It's 12 o'clock here in the West. It is 3 in the afternoon back east. Hi, it's Scott McKain. I'm really glad that you're with me today. We're doing our daily get-together. So thank you to everybody that showed up yesterday, and thank you to everybody that is here right now. I really appreciate you being here. I'm still, it's a new, new technology here that I'm working with, where I'm broadcasting simultaneously on a lot of different channels at the same time. So please excuse me as I'm learning the new technology and all of that. And a couple interesting responses to what I did yesterday, which is I had a couple folks say, "Okay, we appreciate that you give everybody a shout out, but could you please not interrupt your stories to do shout outs?" So I wanted to mention that if you say something, I really appreciate it. I will get to it. Hey, Talene, how are you? And that's an example right there. I want to make certain that I say hi to everybody because I truly appreciate you taking time to be here. But yet some folks said, don't interrupt your story and keep saying hi to everybody. So I think that's a very valid comment. So I will take that to heart. Any other ideas, suggestions, anything that you have, I truly appreciate those as well. Got 3 things I want to talk about with you today, too. So, hey, Dwayne, old dogs have to learn new. I'm an old dog, man, and I'm trying to learn the new trick here. So, you've got that exactly right. So, got 3 things I'd like to talk to you about today. And let me do number 1, and then Colin. Yes, but Colin, you are famous. That's so. Hey, Chad, good to see you from back home in Crothersville. So let me get on with one of them. Got 3 messages that I want to make certain that we get to here today. Here's message number 1. Many years ago, I had the privilege of getting to do work on television, and I got my start on WHAS television in Louisville, Kentucky. At that time, the TV station was owned by the Bingham family. And the Bingham family was quite unique. They also owned the Louisville Courier-Journal. They owned which was the newspaper, the Courier-Journal, Louisville Times. They owned both the newspapers in Louisville, and they also owned WHAS, which at that time was the CBS affiliate, and WHAS Radio, which is a 50,000-watt clear channel radio station. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, it was because the Binghams had a real sense of the importance of news and the importance of community. They had made millions of dollars in their businesses, including the newspaper, and so they had a real commitment to straight-ahead journalism because the news on our television station, the Bingham family had more money than they knew what to do with, and so making money from the local news was not their priority. They held themselves to a higher standard. When Barry Bingham Jr. was arrested for DUI in Louisville, they insisted that we have it on the newscast, and they insisted it was on the front page of the newspaper because they held themselves to a higher standard as the people in charge of the news to the community. And the news was not something that they used as a profit center. That has dramatically changed. It was such a privilege to work for them because if they believed in you and if they believed in what you were doing, money was no object. They would figure out a way so that you had the best. And at the time I was there, depending on what numbers you looked at, it was either the first or second highest rated local newscast in America. I still stay in touch with Jim Mitchell, who was the anchor on social media. It's just an amazing newscast and an amazing news organization. Now things have changed. And part of how they have changed is that now the news is a profit center. It is a business like any other business. Now, we can debate whether that's good or bad, but the one thing that I will tell you is this, from years of experience being a part-timer and on the periphery, but a very intense observer of the news. And that is saying we're going to be okay doesn't drive viewers. Saying that this situation that we're in is going to be managed or going to be handled doesn't make more people tune in. Later, I worked at WISH TV in Indianapolis and even was morning news anchor in the weekends there and anchored the 6 o'clock news on a couple of occasions, or the 5:30 news on a couple of occasions. And it was a different ball game. There is a joke in the news industry: if it bleeds, it leads. about, let's get the most tragic, most outrageous, most jaw-dropping story, and that's what we'll open with. I've got many, many stories I can tell you about that. But one of the things I am trying to suggest to you, and good grief, have you noticed how many, isn't it amazing that the people on social media who were constitutional law scholars during the impeachment are now immunologists and know everything about viruses? It's crazy. All I know is what I read. But I do know that when I read something positive, it's buried a little bit farther back. And when I read something negative, man, it's on the front of the news stories. So I'm just saying that to encourage us all to have a sense of balance. And that leads into story number 2. And then I'll jump into saying hi to everybody when I finish story number 2. But story number 2 is this. About a week ago, we sent out an email offering to be of service for no charge to some of our current clients. And you know what? We didn't get a response. A couple folks responded, but nothing like we thought it was going to be. And I had this real aha moment because I was kind of discouraged that people didn't respond to my offer to help. And it wasn't to try to make money, just like here, there's nothing for you to buy anything like that. But what I realized was this. When we don't know the question, we're not prepared for an answer. Let me repeat that. When we don't know the question, we're not prepared for the answer. There's so much in a state of flux right now. There's so much where we don't know what's happening, where we don't know what's next, where we don't know what's going to be normal, or when normal comes back, or if there ever is, is there going to be a new normal, whatever that might, we don't know. And because we don't know the questions, we're not ready for anybody's answer. So the thing that we can do is to support each other and to help each other and to lift each other's spirits and to help charge each other's batteries. And if we can do that together, if we can do that with each other, then whatever the next thing is something that we can process and we can go through and we can kind of figure this out, right? So those are the 2 things I wanted to start with, or the 3 things I wanted to talk about today. Number 1 is, good news never is the first story. So temper as you're watching media, temper as you're reading social media, temper that with the fact that a thing that says we're going to get through this and we're going to be fine doesn't draw the eyeballs and the clicks, because see, those businesses are based on advertising, and the more eyeballs they get, the more clicks they get, then the higher they can charge for advertising rates. And this is a news director's bonanza right now, because not only are people concerned and watching, people are stuck at home. And so the television is on all the time, where it might not be if we're at work. So it is a significant challenge right now for all of us to understand that this is a time of change. And the second thing is to remember that, it's going to be all right, but for those of us in the speaking, consulting, coaching, that type of business, don't misunderstand, because if your client doesn't know the questions, they don't get engaged with your answer, no matter what that answer might be. All right, I got another thing I want to talk about, but before I do, I just want to touch base with everybody here. And as I said, Chad, always great to see you. Linda from Crothersville, great. Hi, Rita. I like when you chime in. It's interactive instead of being a podcast. Absolutely, you bet. The criticism, Rita, was I'd get into a story, and then I'd stop the story and say hi to everybody, and my story didn't complete. And I thought that was a good idea, but I definitely want to interact. That's why we're here, right? I definitely want to interact with everybody. But the coaching, constructive criticism I got was make certain that you finish a story and that you don't keep interrupting it before you move on to say hello. Eldon, I appreciate your emails. I don't respond as frequently as I should, but I appreciate the links, and I appreciate what you sent, and you sent some great stuff. Dwayne, same with you. I really appreciate that. Sherry, the go-to person for flowers for me forever, wherever it's going. You're the best, Sherry. Hope everything is good with you. Paul, watching from the UK. How you doing, Paul? Love the pictures of your baby boy and your dogs and everything else. It's great seeing you. Gary, yeah, isn't that the truth? Gary Rifkin, just such an extraordinary guy, Cavett Award winner, with the National Speakers Association. Yeah, social media makes you an expert on everything. Isn't that the truth? I mean, it's crazy, some of the things that I'm seeing on social media. People making predictions like they're scientists, and they're not, right? So there you go. Yeah, they've got a captive audience. So sensationalism, baby. Colin, you said it perfectly. That's what's happening right now. And it's again, I mean, these are profit-making corporations. They are in the old days. I sound like my dad walking to school, right? But in the old days, it was about getting information to you, and the money was made elsewhere. Now, for your local television stations, the local news is their biggest profit center. And so what do they want to do? Well, it all depends on ratings. So how do you drive ratings? It's not by telling everybody that everything's going to be okay. Then we look to see, no, it's just human nature. Peter, hey, great talking to you. Peter is in Europe and then comes over for our Ultimate Business Summit, the great country music fan and interviewer. Jay, always great seeing you. I appreciate it. Yeah, is it confirmation bias? People have a habit of feeling negative, so they're likely to respond. Yeah, I think so. And to that point, Paul, I think you're particularly right because we're also feeling a bit depressed. Many of us are, right? I mean, it is a time of unknown and a time of change. And because we're feeling a bit anxious and frustrated, anything that feeds into those anxieties confirms what we're already thinking, and therefore we respond to it. No, you're exactly right. It is a great example of confirmation bias. We respond to negative news. Alpha, don't call me Shirley. Alpha Trivet that you see there is one of my best friends and has been. And we were national FFA officers together and had an apartment together for a while in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And yes, he's quoting Airplane on me here. You bet. Spreading the love. Absolutely, Sherry. Hey, Dana. Here's the thought. Who or what is the answer? Dana Williams in the house, everybody. Dana Williams from Podcasts Extraordinary. Hey, I've got to talk to you too, Dana, by the way. I'm going to call you here in a little bit. I got something I got to share with you. What is the answer to the question no one's asking? Yeah. What we can't answer the question, so all we can do is be there to support. Right? I mean, that's all we can do. We don't know what the answer is, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like the situation where somebody in their personal life is going through a difficult time. I'm not talking about what's happening in terms of the virus, but part of what we have to do is to just be there, right? I mean, when somebody is going through a tragedy in their personal lives, there's a lot of times there's nothing we can say, but just knowing that somebody's got your back, that somebody's there is all it needs. And some friends of mine, we were emailing this morning about all of the things I'm getting on LinkedIn. Anybody else getting this? All the things you're getting on LinkedIn about, hey, sign up, or hey, I can help you market your business. I don't know that now is the time that I think it's appropriate. Why would I sign up to have you help market my business on LinkedIn so I can irritate my clients and friends the way you're irritating me? It's crazy. So anyway, hey, I'm glad you're here. Okay, now, third story that I want to talk about. And my friend Jeb Bell, who is CEO of Echo, ECCO in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, sent a message to Dirk Beveridge and me and a couple other folks. And he made such an incredible point. I wanted to share it here today. And that is, we've got to find a better word than essential. Because we say essential businesses can stay open, non-essential businesses have to close. And essential employees show up for work, but non-essential employees, you got to stay home. What does it mean when we tell businesses, or when businesses tell their employees that they are not essential? Don't get me wrong. I for what I know about it, which is Nothing, but it sounds like flattening the curve and making sure everybody's home and that we're quarantining ourselves and we're doing all this. It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, that's what we ought to be doing. So I understand there are certain businesses that, because of the contagion effect, really needed to lock their doors. That doesn't mean they're not an essential business, right? If you're a non-essential business, then what that means is you haven't established enough connection with your customers that they're bothered that you're closed. If you're closed right now and nobody notices and nobody cares, then you are the definition of a non-essential business. But an essential business is not just one that needs to stay open when there's a viral pandemic. It is that what we have to do is to create these connections with customers that when we close our doors, they really miss us, and we know they're going to come back when things get back to a higher level of normal. Paul, I love that. They use key business and key workers there in the United Kingdom. By the way, let me tell you what a company is that has a bunch of non-essential employees. Eventually, they're called broke. They're called out of business. If you're employing a ton of non-essential employees, that's called ridiculous overhead. I mean, everybody should be doing something that is essential to the success of the business. If you're not, then you shouldn't be employed. It doesn't matter if you have few employees like my little business does, or if you're Amazon. Everybody in your company should be doing something that is essential to the company. Otherwise, you're just overhead. So let's get away from telling people that they are non-essential. Let's get away from saying that businesses aren't essential. I saw my friend Bonnie came on here, and Bonnie, when you came on, I was thinking about here in Las Vegas, the wonderful gal that does Tammy's hair, cuts my hair. To me, she is an essential business. My hairstylist that I don't mean, but you know what I mean? I mean, I miss Amy now that she's not taking clients. I miss that. My wife, she is essential. She is a part of our lives, a part of what we do, right? There's a restaurant here in Las Vegas, Gaetano's, and Tammy and I were in there a while back, and 2 days later, Gaetano, the owner of the restaurant, has a heart attack and dies, and his sons have taken over the restaurant. It is a fabulous Italian restaurant. If you're watching in Vegas, it's on Eastern, and it's such a time of change in their business than this is. And we're worried about them because they are essential to us. So we've got to find a different way. We've got to find a better way. Paul, I love that, saying that they're key businesses, or there's something in there. Gary, love this. Are any of our businesses not essential? Yeah, it depends on how we serve them. And what a great point, Gary. That business is essential to the employees. Here in Las Vegas, as you might imagine, it is really hit because this is a community, as you know, that's based almost entirely on the service industry. And now the casinos are closed. They were saying it's costing the average casino here about $14 million a day because they're closed. Well, to those, I mean, that's essential to those businesses. And the blackjack dealers and the cocktail servers, that casino is essential to them and their families and their well-being as well. So essential is relative. You can be essential to your customers, but not essential to the running of key infrastructure. Yeah, and I think they did, but I loved the post, Paul, that I got sent by my friend Jeb, that talked about we don't want to make people feel like they're not essential to the success of the business. I loved your term about key employees, key to the infrastructure, key to the business. Yeah, exactly. Jim, what a great point. Jim Walton here saying our clients still expect us to get the work done. It makes us essential to them. It's that concept. And by the way, not trying to say, I'm just thrilled about that. I've got a new book coming out this fall, and it talks about this. But finally got the manuscript done. Is what I'm really excited about. But one of the things here is exactly what Jim says, is that you're essential to your customers, because if you weren't, they wouldn't be bringing you business to begin with. So we have to focus on that there are some things that are key to the infrastructure of so the wheels don't come off of everything. the bank is closed except for the drive-through here, so you go through the drive-through. That's acceptable for everybody. The pharmacy, you go through the drive-through. We've been supporting local restaurants, and we either have it delivered or we go pick it up, but we want to support local restaurants. Why? They are essential. However, if they would close, the wheels are still on the culture bus. We just can't have it go on forever. Colin chips in here. The amount of people who came out and supported Late Harvest when they found out what was happening was seriously overwhelming. Just a restaurant, but so many people were an essential part of their life. Colin is at an incredible restaurant in Indianapolis, Late Harvest, that we get to every time, and it's just great. And Colin, but see, here's the thing. Joe Calloway, my buddy, is one who said this better than I. Joe said, "What's my favorite restaurant? It's the one where they know my name." And one of the things I know that you do a great job at, Colin, and others that I know are watching right now, is making it personal and connecting and finding a way to the places we love going back to are not only the places that have great food, but the places create great experiences. And that's what makes what you do so essential to Late Harvest, and it's what makes, Bonnie, you so essential to your clients. And thank you, especially coming from you. I appreciate that you like it. So I'll tell Amy. So it's really, really important and really critical for us to connect in that manner. That's what makes you essential. And by the way, that's what makes the community of talking here essential as well. So I really, really appreciate you watching. I'm going to get out of here in just a minute, but if there's anything else, but here, again, the 3 stories is you're key to somebody, and what you do is key to somebody. It is essential to somebody. So when we talk about non-essential employees or non-essential businesses, there's a better way that we need to be saying that, because we can't be in the business of making any employee feel as if they're non-essential to what we do. And if we can't expect people to work hard and to commit themselves and give their all to build non-essential businesses. We are all essential to the customers that we serve. Second is don't let the stress get to you. Don't let this time of flux and change get to you. And remember that the news media makes their money from clicks and from eyeballs watching, and for all of us to be quarantined and stuck in our homes and television's on, man, it's a bonanza for them right now. And the way they attract you is to appeal to your fear. And that's part of why we need to be doing this every day, is to help us fight that. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow at noon, or 3 o'clock Eastern, and we'll continue to chat. If there's anything that you'd like for me to talk about or that you want to open for everybody, then all you need to do is just post it on social media for me, or drop me a message, and I'll absolutely look forward to talking to you about that as we continue. So once again, it's been a privilege. I'm always humbled and honored that people would listen in. By the way, if you haven't listened, I've got a 24/7 internet radio station, and I want you to listen to it because it's got ideas as well. So I've posted about it before. You'll find it on Twitter with a post about when certain things are on. You search for Distinction Radio with Scott McKain, and you can listen in. So there you go. Yeah, exactly right, Paul. I am not going to sing the theme from Cheers, but that's exactly Joe's point there, right? So it's great. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow at noon. Have a great day. Keep your chin up, and let's continue to connect and share some ideas and some thoughts. All right? See you soon.